Imagine you have started a new retail business, rented a shop, invested in furniture, purchased goods, and are getting a good response from consumers. But suddenly, after 3 months, you have to shut down your business. Not because you're making a loss, but because an unexpected external event forces you to close it due to the hefty costs required to keep it running. This is what happened to many businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic. This event is what all the financial gurus around the world call a Black Swan event. Black Swan event simply means a rare and extremely negative event that is impossible to predict based on past knowledge and data available. They are so rare and uncertain that they are beyond normal expectations. Basically, they are high-risk events. For instance, no one could have predicted that a pandemic like COVID-19 would come and have negative consequences for people, businesses, and the economy. The same happened during the 2008 financial crisis. The collapse of Lehman Brothers and other financial institutions is often considered a Black Swan event. No one could have expected what was brewing or how it would shake the whole world. We can't expect this event in our day-to-day lives. Our minds are not programmed to do so. It's very, very rare. So rare that we might consider not worrying about it. But the thing is, rarity and uncertainty don't guarantee that it won't happen. Many people who know what a Black Swan event is and its implications are afraid of the term Black Swan event. But why? Before answering that, one question comes to my mind. Why is it called Black Swan? There was a historical belief in Europe that all swans were white because all the swans observed until then were white. But that was not the truth. The discovery of black swans in Australia in the 18th century shattered this long-lasting assumption. And from then on, it served as a metaphor for events that were thought to be impossible or highly unlikely. When they do happen, they have profound impacts. When it comes to the financial industry, the term Black Swan event was popularized by author and former options trader Nassim Nicholas Taleb in his book The Black Swan: The Impact of the Highly Improbable. The term is used to describe rare, unpredictable events that have massive consequences. Since this term is widely used in the financial industry, business owners might wonder why they should care about a Black Swan event if it's related only to the financial market. But the thing is, if something negative happens in the financial industry, it's going to hurt every sector and all businesses, as everything is linked in the economy. However, the impact of a Black Swan event goes beyond just the financial industry. It can be felt deeply across all sectors. So, let's take a moment to reframe this. How can we apply this to our business? Or even better, how does it relate to the business we are building? Instead of seeking a Black Swan event as a concept or phenomena that impacts the masses on a larger scale, can we consider it on an individual level? What if a Black Swan event happens to a single business? Something that most of us are personally involved in. While it may not affect an entire sector, there could be events that hit our business hard. Events that, for our business, could act as a Black Swan event. But you might ask, why should we think negatively about our business? The simple answer is that ignoring negative events in our minds won't prevent them from happening in real life. It's better to be prepared to face them calmly if they do arise. And you don't need to stress or worry about a Black Swan event. We all know they're rare, but instead of completely dismissing them, we should acknowledge their possibility and consider what could happen that might affect us and force us out of business. There are many events in history where businesses have struggled due to something like a Black Swan event. Apple's introduction of the touchscreen mobile phone put BlackBerry out of business, dethroning it as the biggest mobile company. BlackBerry wasn't prepared for an event like this, where one company would introduce a revolutionary touchscreen smartphone with internet connectivity. Had BlackBerry been aware of this Black Swan threat or anticipated it before it became a reality, they might have retained their position as the largest mobile phone company. This was a Black Swan event for BlackBerry. Just look at the profound impact this event had on the giant that was BlackBerry. No one would have thought that BlackBerry would go out of business, and that's the problem itself. The statement most people ignore. No one would have thought. Just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't happen. It's not reliable to predict the future based solely on past records and history. Nassim Taleb shared this insight with an amazing and very famous example: the turkey problem. Consider a turkey that is fed every day. With each feeding, the turkey becomes more convinced that it is the general rule of life to be fed daily by friendly members of the human race, looking out for its best interests. As a politician might say, then, on the afternoon of the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, something unexpected happens to the turkey. It experiences a sudden revision of belief. The friendly members of the human race suddenly kill it, crushing its belief that they had ever truly cared. It shatters the illusion that the past is reliable to predict the future. If you look at the scenario from the turkey's perspective or put yourself in the turkey's shoes, you will understand why it's not wise to rely on history to predict the future. Let's imagine another scenario. You have opened a supermarket in an affluent area of the city. You have worked day and night, earned people's trust, and taken sales and profits to new heights. But one day, a quick commerce company decides to open operations in your city and your area. Now, you will face tough competition. Slowly, people might start trusting them, or they could get better deals due to the discounts they offer, causing your sales to drop. So, were you prepared for a competition like this? Were you aware that a business with no visible store could make your business struggle? You would have never imagined it in your wildest dreams until it became a sad reality. Now, we don't just want to make you aware of the outcome, which unfortunately can be negative. We also want to discuss the solution, the possible way to handle these unknown disastrous situations. See, there isn't a straightforward or specific solution because a Black Swan event is itself unknown and undefined. We don't know when it will come or in what form it will appear, whether it will come in the form of an epidemic like COVID-19, a recession, or specifically impact our business. We don't know and we can't predict. One thing we can do, and that is also a possible solution to handle it, is acknowledgement. Yes, you heard it right. This small word is the powerful solution to handling a Black Swan event positively and properly. Acknowledging that there can be a disaster situation, a risk, a downside, or a negative consequence. Acknowledging the fact that a Black Swan event can happen makes you prepared for it. Generally, we don't acknowledge negative consequences or associated risks because we don't want to think negatively about our business, especially when we are starting out and everything seems to be going well, or when the real scenario doesn't appear to be negative. Listen to this line from Nassim Taleb's book, "What you know can't really hurt you." I'll repeat it because it's very important. What you know can't really hurt you. It means that if we already know, or more precisely, if we acknowledge that something negative can happen, we are more likely to handle it and come out of that situation. If we had considered or expected the 2004 tsunami in the Indian Ocean, we would have prepared for it and mitigated its impact. The responsible organizations should have anticipated that if this happens, what actions we could take or avoid it or handle it carefully. We often say and hear, prevention is better than cure, but we rarely follow this because for prevention, we need to acknowledge that something negative can happen and we should prepare for it. When you start a business, you're optimistic and you should be optimistic. But that doesn't mean you should ignore the big risk associated with your business in the future. You don't have to overthink it. Just try to consciously think about the factors or situations in the future that could hurt your business and what you would do if your business faces those unknown and unpredictable situations. How would you cope up with them? The same applies if you are running a successful business that is earning good profits and growing at a steady pace. Even then, you need to keep your mind attentive to the possibility of a black swan event. You should ask yourself, is there any event or situation that could affect the positive momentum of my business? And if I face that situation, what will I do? You can look for market patterns that could turn negative for your business in the future, or common problems and threats that could force you out of business. Many times, we ourselves delve into actions that, if continued for a longer duration, could lead to a black swan event for our business. So, avoid every action that could deliberately become a black swan for you in the future. The acknowledgement and acceptance that a black swan event could occur at any point is the first step in handling and fighting the situation. If we know how to manage uncertainty and are prepared for the unexpected, we will emerge positively from this situation. At last, we want to end this video with an anecdote that is often shared by Nassim Taleb. People challenge Taleb's views on risk by asking how he would cross the street, implying that his extreme caution would make him too fearful to engage in everyday activities like crossing a road. They suggested that avoiding all risks could cause you to miss out on life. In response, Taleb explains that he is neither risk-averse nor phobic. Rather, he emphasizes that life involves taking risks, but it is crucial to understand and evaluate the risks involved before proceeding. He argues that people should not blindly walk into situations without assessing the risks, like crossing a street blindfolded. In essence, his point is that while risks are inevitable, being aware of them and making informed decisions is far more important than avoiding them altogether or ignoring them. So, the next time you start or do something, consider the risks and be prepared for a black swan event. And remember, never cross the road blindfolded.